Hello. So I read a Evan Hunter novel called Lizzie. This is about the case of Lizzie Borden, who in 1892 in Fall River, Massachusetts, uh, her parents, well, her stepmother and her father were brutally murdered with a slashing attack by a sharp object. They weren't given 40 whacks or 41 whacks. It was more like 12 and 18. But, a considerable number anyway. So, you know, what happened in the real situation in the case in Fall River, Massachusetts, there is that she was found not guilty the next year in '93, and continued to live on right there in that town until 1927 when she died at what age, 66 or something like that. And oddly enough, this is of course the 2 centuries back and ancient history, but yet my aunt, who was born in 1927, the same year that Lizzie Borden died. So, and my aunt is still alive. So there's that. Anyway, what goes on in the novel? It's a rather long novel, 400 and some page, 430 pages, and it starts out kind of slowly. Actually, I was wondering, Evan Hunter is a skilled novelist of crime stories and the Ed McBain stories and all that. This one came out in 1984. So I was wondering why it was so not really that interesting. It was a lot of it was quoted from the transcripts of the inquest of the case, and then the actual trial itself, and testimony of the trial, and the back and forth with the lawyers and the judge, so forth. Courtroom stuff in juxtaposition to the trial stuff. There is another story that goes on through the novel, and goes back and forth from the trial into this trip to Europe that Lizzie and her sister and a couple other women took in 1890. And with that trip, I think this is going to be spoiler heavy, so there's going to be spoilers regarding the novel here. So in that trip, according to this fictionalized account, the girls meet the young women, they were 30 years old, meet a couple from England who take them under their wing, and one particular woman, Allison, who becomes connected with Lizzie quite a bit, and she's rich. Her husband is rich and is running around the country, and her husband, running around Europe, and her husband is often not in the same location as she is because he's off working somewhere on deals or whatever. So they are very much the model of the European couple in that they have, they're drinking. Allison is smoking cigarettes. All this sort of shocking stuff that the good Christian Massachusetts women were not about at all. At one point, she's encouraged to drink. Lizzie's encouraged to drink some wine, and she said, "No, I can't do that because I was because she's the CW. CWTU, which he doesn't say what that means, but it's the Christian woman's Christian Temperance League or whatever it is, one or the other. So she's involved with the temperance organization, so she does not drink or smoke or anything like that. She's very ladylike in the fashion of the day in America, but running into these Europeans with their much looser morals and attitudes. And it turned out that she gets ill with influenza, and the rest of her party goes on to visit Germany and Italy while she stays on with Allison, who is very attached to her. And Allison brings her back to health from this influenza she has, and then invites her to her place in Cannes, in down the south of France, in the off season. So we have some sort of picture of what all that's like in a way, and we go down to the south of France to Cannes, and we and there she finds that Allison will sunbathe nude and things like that. So she's quite becoming quite shocking, much more shocking, and ultimately it turns out that Allison really is sexually attracted to Lizzie, and they end up having an affair over the rest of the time that she's in Europe, and so that then we go back to the story of after the murder and so forth, and that becomes. Lizzie Borden in real life was designated not guilty in the trial, so we don't really have a story about who actually did the killing, and only people in the house were Bridget, who they called Maggie because they called the previous one Maggie, and Lizzie. And the murders were like 2 hours apart, and so it's all this mystery, and Lizzie was kind of a small woman, not that really big to do that kind of a thing, and it's such a violent male act to do that type of murder, which is atypical of something that women would do. Not that they are incapable of doing so, but it's not standard procedure in our civilization as we know it. So his at the end. So as I said, it kind of builds slowly, but he does bring it all together in the end, the final few chapters where where Evan Hunter delivers his fictional story of what happened on that day of August 4th, and in 1892 with these murders. It was in the morning, actually, and not at night. So, these sort of creepy night scenes you want to picture. No, it was all quite early in the morning, before noon, that all this went down. So, what Evan Hunter does, and this is the heavy spoilers of this little piece here, is that he envisions that Lizzie has been awakened to her true self as being, a lesbian woman, a woman who prefers to love other women, and as she is, it is a fact that both she and her sister were unmarried, into their 30s, 40s, all through their lives, which was unusual for that period. Most people would get married off some way, or one way or the other. So using that situation as, oh, why isn't she married, so forth. So she gets turned on by this love affair she has, and a lot of back and forth of letters with this Allison in Europe, and Allison's going to come, Allison's going to come and meet them meet her in New York, and they're going to stay together for a while, and everything's going to be, they're going to meet up. But Allison never makes it to America, and so Lizzie is frustrated with that, and never meets up again with her lover, Allison, and so instead of going through the town, and Allison warns her about this when they first get together, because Allison has servants, and the Borden house has this one maid. So there's a scene when they're together where Allison says, "Well, don't fuck with the help. That's just going to get you into trouble to do that." So in the later scene, at the murder day scene, it turns out that yes, Lizzie has seduced Bridget, Maggie, and they are having an affair, and they both seem to like it. And there's a scene where, where Lizzie wants it in the early morning there on the on August 4th, and the stepmother walks in on them and discovers them. And then, she says she's going to tell, and Lizzie said, don't tell, and she doesn't have any clothes on, and, it's just, it's horrible, scandalous situation, and with all this shame and everything built into it, because, this is one of the worst things you can be doing, sex to begin with, and then same sex like that. So she kills the stepmother, and just leaves her there, and then and tells, and so in this situation, Bridget is basically an accessory because she knows what's going on here and doesn't talk about it at all. They both engage in a cover up. And then father comes home and discovers what has happened, and so she kills the father too. So that's in a sense, it's like the murderer here is homophobia again, shame and homophobia that just has caused this murder, these double murders to occur. So that's what goes on in Lizzie. I guess I'm going to probably read another Evan Hunter book, because I'm at the cat sit where the Evan Hunter books live. And when I come up here, I try to read her Evan Hunter books. And I think there's only a couple more of the ones that she has that I have not read. So I think I'll read one of those, and I expect it to be better than this one, which was, it was okay, and ultimately it kind of delivered at the end, but it wasn't really the best. So, I can't particularly recommend it. Now, oddly enough, I commented on this on Goodreads that I'd finished the book yesterday, and I think I'd looked up Lizzie Borden in Wikipedia, a few days ago, and so on my YouTube feed popped up a discussion about a book from 5 days ago of a guy who wrote a book where he has his own ideas about who actually killed, and that Lizzie was in fact not guilty, and that somebody else did it. So I watched that and went on for a couple hours, and it was okay. I'll put the link to that in here, I guess, if anybody is really that interested in Lizzie Borden and so forth. Never saw the Elizabeth Montgomery movie, but whatever. I think I'm done with Lizzie Borden for now. Yeah, these are difficult times. I'm, having trouble wondering why I'm bothering with, whatever. So, anyway, we'll speak again. I'll speak again, and perhaps you will listen at some future point. Okay? Talk to you later.